Computers have become truly incredible. We are walking around with the supercomputers in our pocket. How amazing is that? So it is disappointing that the way we use computers, the way we interact with them, hasn't really changed in the last 50 years. We're still using mouse and keyboards, we're clicking on screens and the buttons. Mobile phones are the same. We're just using finger instead of the mouse. So is that it? Is that how the future looks like? We're going to be stuck in the screens with our faces, not seeing the world around us? That's not the future I imagine, that's the future I'm attracted to. What I've been always interested in is things. Physical things we use every day, like things on this table that family doesn't pay attention to. Things tell our story, they tell who we are, they tell a lot about us. Let me give you an example. These are photographs of things a person touched during 24 hours. What can you tell about him? He loves his motorcycle, right? The biggest thing in his picture. What can you tell about this girl? She spent all her time on the beach. There's a surfboard. He lives by the sea. What can you tell about this guy? He's a chef. Look at all the ingredients he touched during the day while he was preparing the food. And computer is a tiny part of his life, these sad things in the corner. So if we're using things all the time, and this is a big part of our lives, can things become a way for us to interact with our digital life? Can the world become your interface? And that was my idea. I've been working for 20 years on. My idea is that in order to interact with digital life, you don't need to have screens and keyboards and mouses. You can interact with your digital life just by using things you use every day. And to realize this idea, you need to solve 3 big challenges. Let me tell you about them. The first one, obviously, is it even possible? How can you take an everyday thing you use every day and turn it in computer interface? Now, I was inspired by the book Hackers I read when I was a teenager. And the central idea of this book, one of the central ideas of this book, is that you can change the purpose of things by inventing new technology and then hacking to things and changing them. So I've been thinking what kind of technology I can invent so that I can hack into things you use every day and make them interactive. So when I was working at Disney, I invented this sensor which injects structured electrical field into objects and turns them into gesture interfaces. So this doorknob, unmodified, can become a gesture sensor. It can know how you're touching it. It can feel how you're touching it. It may circle or it can grasp. And this doorknob is unmodified. There's nothing special about doorknobs. Anything can become interactive. What about plants? So the plants are interesting because with plants I can actually know where you're touching. You can see the line moving up and down in the image. And I can turn it to the musical interface. Now, we do have also a practical applications, a calendar plant, for those who are obsessed about practicality. We can give things a personality. So in this particular example, the orchid can communicate to you through images and sounds. It doesn't like to be touched, so it creates electrical images and hissing at you. We can also give, well, this plant, for example, is more robust. It's snake plants, and it likes playing you. It engages you. So everything can be different, and everything can be represent what it feels. So everything can be hacked, all the things, including your body. In this example, we hacked your body so you can measure how you're folding your hands, and then using your hand gestures to control something else. So if you don't want to listen to some music for thousands of times, just simply can cover your ears to turn it off. So everything can be hacked, and research is important. But the second challenge we have is how can we go from R&D and prototypes to real products? How can we make real things that are also interfaces? And you may ask yourself, who would do this? Silicon Valley? Is it do Shenzhen? Now the challenge there, that the world of things is huge. Every year, apparel industry produces 150 billion garments. In comparison, technology industry only makes 1.4 billion phones. The world of things is much bigger than the world of technology. The technology world cannot change the world of things. Instead, we need to create technology which change makers of things, people who make your chairs and clothes and everything else, into makers of smart things. Enable them to do that. So to test this challenge, we come up with a very simple kind of idea and challenge. Can a tailor make a wearable? Now, we don't want to take a tailor and turn the tailor into electrical engineer. We'd still want to have some tailors around. But what we would like to do, create technology which looks, feels, and behaves like a raw material used by the tailor to make their clothes. For example, a touch panel made for a tailor would look like this, made of textile, so you can cut it with scissors and sew it in. At the same time, it has to retain the performance. The way to make this textile panel, touch panel, also requires a very different approach than from making consumer electronics. In our case, we had to go to mountains of Tokyo, to a small factory which was making kimono yarns for generations. We worked with my collaborators who were not engineers. It was an artisan who knows how to make things, and an artist who knows how to make things beautiful. Working with them, we created one of the best yarns in the world, which consists of thin metallic alloys wrapped around with polyester fibers and cotton fibers. These yarns were made on the same machines which were making yarns for kimonos for generations. We then took these yarns and gave them to the factory, which is making textiles, and we wove our smart textile using regular machines in a variety of colors and materials, and we gave those textiles to a tailor in Savile Row in London. So tailors are traditionalists, particularly in Savile Row. They don't use computers, they don't use machines, they use hands and they cut, they fit their products on the human body, not on 3D avatars. Technology is not a part of their vocabulary, but they are modern people. They know how to use technology. So if technology can be formed and shaped like a button, like a textile, like something they can use, they absolutely can make a wearable, a garment which can place a phone call. So now we've proven that you can actually make a wearable, not by the electronic company, but by the tailor. We worked collaborated with the Levi's, our partners and our neighbors, to make a real product. And this product is this jacket I'm wearing right now. You can buy it on sale. And it was made in the same factories which make all their products. And you have noticed is I've been controlling my presentation from the jacket, from the sleeve of the jacket. I do like this, go forward, like this, go backward. And of course, I can do more things. It's not just a control presentation. You can control my navigation, control my music. But most importantly, it stays a jacket. It stays a thing which makes me look, great. And that's the most important thing. So, So we proved we can turn things into interfaces. We proved that these things can be made by makers of things and not by technology companies. I look awesome. Are we done? Not yet. The third challenge, how can we scale? How can we go from one product to many products? And that's what we're doing, working right now. Let me tell you how we're going to do this. First of all, I want to make myself clear. I'm not talking about Internet of Things. I'm not talking about creating another gadget you get bored with and throw in the back of your drawer and forget about it. I'm talking about foundational, important principle which guides my work. Technology has to make existing things better. It's make them better by connecting them to your digital life and add new usefulness and new functionality while remaining the same original purpose, not changing it. This jacket I'm wearing can control my mobile phone and presentation, but it remains a jacket. That means that once we start making all things interactive and connected, everything would have its own set of actuators, displays and sensors specific for those things. A pair of running shoes does not need to have a touch sensor. Why would you have a touch sensor on a pair of shoes? It will have a sensor which would measure your running performance or knee impact while remaining the great pair of shoes. Makers of things will have to start thinking what kind of digital functionality they have to offer to their consumers. They will have to become service providers, or they become irrelevant. We will have to create a service ecosystem, just like we've done for mobile phones, where you have an apps and service and everything else, and sometimes you're still making a phone call. Now, to make this ecosystem possible, we have to avoid fragmentation. We have to avoid different interfaces for different people, for different things. We have to create a uniform user experience. And for that reason, we have to create a single computing platform which powers all those things. What will the platform going to be? And I think the answer is obvious. It's a cloud computing. Now, you cannot connect things directly to cloud, obviously. So what you have to do, you have to develop a small device which can be plugged into all the things and make them connected to the cloud to unlock their potential and add new functionality. So let me show for the first time the real device which we've built. We're showing this for the first time. That's how it looks like. And it's a small device which will be connected to things we want to make smart and connected interactive. How it's going to work? So on the back you have a little, some few electrodes. So when you plug them into different things, like here, the device will recognize where you plug in them and then reconfigure itself to enable specific functionality for this particular thing. We would like to give this device to makers of things, people who make your clothing and furniture, so they can use it just like they use a button or a zipper. And what they're going to make with them, it's up to them. We don't want to dictate the use cases. We would like to let people who make those things, artists and designers, brands and craftsmen, to imagine and create this new world where things are connected and have all this new exciting digital functionality, where you don't need keyboards and screens and mouses to interact with your computer. So I've been working on this idea for 20 years, and now it's taking shape. And as it's taking shape, what you're realizing that I always thought I'm working on computer interfaces. I always thought myself as an interaction designer, but I'm realizing that I'm not building interface. What I realized that me and my team were building a new kind of computer, an ambient computer. Thank you.